Hello, my name is Javier Morales, and this is my research proposal presentation for Info 285 Applied Research Methods. Young adulthood can be a trying time for many. It is a period where people try to better understand who they are and who they may become. To help with this, there exist resources and information for young adults in the hopes that they may use them to better navigate this time in their life. However, for certain young adults, other aspects of themselves may go unaddressed in the information and resources they are given, and may not be available through the traditional places that their peers would use, such as their public library. One such population of young adults that may face this lack of readily available resources and information are those that identify as LGBTQ. Though there have been great strides in social awareness of LGBTQ issues in recent years, it is not assured that the libraries have been able to provide needed services for this group, especially in regards to young adults who may have a great need for them. It is for this reason that my proposed research question is as follows. How can public libraries provide relevant resources to meet the information needs of LGBTQ young adults? I would also like to take a moment to provide a brief description for the term LGBTQ, which is understood to stand for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer questioning. It is also important to note that there exist divisions in the LGBTQ community on whether this term is as representative as possible, because as noted by researchers Alexander and Miselas, as the language used to describe these identities grow, so does the need for more appropriate identification. Though for the purpose of this presentation, the term LGBTQ will be the one used, primarily to lower the possibility of confusion. The purpose of this study will be to identify whether public libraries are meeting the information needs of LGBTQ young adults, and if not, also identify ways in which they may improve in doing so. In a culture that is still trying to address how to better serve the LGBTQ population in general, it is important to conduct research to better help this particularly vulnerable subset of the community. While examining the current field of literature relating to the research question, three distinct topics arose: identifying what LGBTQ resources libraries are already providing to young adults, issues that may impact a library's ability to provide said resources, and the need for these resources by the population. As a sign of growing acceptance of LGBTQ people and issues, there has been an increased research interest on this topic and a number of articles written on how libraries may better serve this community. As discussed by Rock, as members of the American Library Association Bill of Rights, librarians must locate and provide good materials in all areas of interest to all patrons, including adults, among which Rock specifically focuses on the LGBTQ community. However, increased focus does not necessarily mean an increase in resources. In regards to building a collection aimed towards serving this community, author Alexander took care to examine the collections of several libraries in the state of Nevada and found that many had less than 1% of young adult materials relating to LGBTQ issues. A similar issue was also found in an article by authors Chapman and Birdie, whose study used a mixed method approach, which included the use of polling data, surveys, and interviews. They concluded that there is substantial room for improvement in the holdings of LGBTQ materials in the participating public library services, and noted that the large majority of interviewees felt that all collections were inadequate. Building a strong collection for LGBTQ young adults also unfortunately faces barriers from outside forces as well. For example, in the research conducted by Stringer Stanback, the article examined the four most populous counties from Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia, and used collection data from their libraries as well as census data to determine how inclusive they are in regards to a lack of anti-discrimination policies or ordinances. The findings concluded that the more demographically diverse communities made more LGBTQ titles available to their constituents, and also found that social attitudes in regard to the LGBT community in these states plays a role in reducing a library's willingness to increase the materials available for said community. This can be a barrier that must be overcome by librarians themselves, as noted by author Martin, whose research found a number of librarians who were uncomfortable assisting a patron who sought information about queer topics. This research was conducted primarily through the use of surveys to both librarians and library patrons, and in one response, a patron who was seeking LGBTQ materials was so put off by a librarian's discomfort in assisting that they stated they would no longer return to that particular library in the future for help. This result is incredibly unfortunate, as libraries should strive to be a place where everyone can come for help, especially when there's a great need for it. For example, in a study by Rickman, they make sure to emphasize that about 2.5 million LGBTQ teens exist in the US, and a large number have limited access to information, role models, and tenuous social support, making identity formation extremely difficult. And in the research conducted by Walker and Bates, they found that the display of LGBTQ materials and positive portrayal of LGBTQ issues can have encouraging impacts on the physical and mental well-being of LGBTQ young adults. This corroborates the incredible need for these resources by this population, who, as found in research by author Rock, are 4 times more likely to attempt suicide and account for 1/3 of successful suicides. Other organizations, such as the William Institute of the UCLA School of Law and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, also provide relevant statistics on the hardships that LGBTQ youths are more likely to face due to their sexual identities. As noted by authors Radowski and Siegel, the continued stigmatization of homosexuality poses a significant obstacle for young adults who are adjusting to the physical and emotional changes of puberty, establishing effective social and working relationship with peers, achieving independence from primary caretakers, preparing for a vocation, and moving towards a sense of values and definable identity. It is for these reasons that libraries must be able to adequately help this vulnerable population that would greatly benefit from access to relevant information and resources. To collect data for this research proposal, surveys will be used as a primary methodology. Surveys have numerous traits that help yield important data for analysis. For example, it is easy to send a large number of surveys to the population that is to be examined, whether through mail or electronically, and they are fairly low cost to create. Another useful feature is that they can be answered anonymously, and this is especially important regarding the research question in that it allows the target population to answer honestly without fear of outing themselves prematurely. Though it should be noted that surveys have several disadvantages as well. Once they are distributed, the survey cannot be changed throughout the course of the study, making them inflexible. Also, it can be challenging for the researcher to create questions that will elicit meaningful responses from the target population and subsequently provide strong data to examine. For the proposed study, an online survey would be made and a link to it will be distributed at local libraries in San Jose. We would also work with local organizations such as the LGBTQ Youth Space and Billy DeFrank LGBTQ Community Center, which are both located near downtown San Jose. In the slide shown, I've included an example of what this survey might end up looking like. It would be created using Google Forms, as it is a free and easily customizable platform through which to create the desired survey. Careful attention would also be needed in the construction of the survey questions so that those who respond understand what the study is hoping to answer. This would help yield results from the target population and allow the benefit of answering honestly with the knowledge that their sexual orientation would remain private, which can be a concern for LGBTQ individuals, and especially young adults. However, careful attention must be paid to another of limitations of the survey, such as possible low response rate. As noted before, about 2.5 million LGBTQ teens exist in the US. And while the literature review shows that there has been increased research on the topic of how libraries have not always been able to adequately serve this population and how solely LGBTQ young adults are in need of resources, there seems to be a lack of literature that directly asks this population how it would like to be served. While some suggestions from LGBTQ young adults might not end up being feasible due to library resources or policies, it will at least generate valuable data that can be built off of and allow for greater understanding of the needs of this community and how libraries may be uniquely able to help. Thank you for listening to my presentation, and on the last slide I've included my list of references. Thank you.